Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Dirty Hands of the Republic. I'm Tom Nixon, partner Joseph Fenwick here. And we have some interesting stories we'd like to talk about today. The first one is the Gun Buyback Program that went into effect about a week ago, where the department and the city of Houston decided to collect all the stolen guns and fake guns and rusted guns and broken guns and incomplete firearms they could get their hands on and pay people for it. Is that what you heard, Joseph?
Yeah, the gun buyback. I wonder where they owned them in the first place to buy them back.
Oh, so some crafty citizen out there decided to create some 3D printed firearms. We're going to put that on the screen for you. A picture of it. Very funny. I think he 3D printed, I think it was 62 firearms. Well, yes. 62 what looked like model plastic water guns.
They were ghost guns. See, if you call them ghost guns, it sounds a lot scarier.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Even though they weren't functional.
You know, water pistols don't have serial numbers either.
No, they don't.
We should have sold some water guns back to the city.
I would have used all my blue guns I have. I have like 6 of them. Of course, they're $40 a piece. I only made $10.
Yeah, so they were given $50 gift cards for those, and then all the way up to $200 for what they claim to be an automatic weapon. What was the nicest weapon that they got?
I understand that they got a pretty nice .30 carbine, a World War II era.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was the most vile gun I think they have, and most of the vast majority of the guns were rusted shotguns, single shots and the big long barrels, like goose guns. I didn't know if they came with an Elmer Fudd hat with it. I mean, in all my time, I saw so many people rob stores with
single shot shotguns
with a long tom shotgun.
Just an epidemic of violence with single shot shotguns. Yeah,
it's absolutely ridiculous. The guns were rusted, and they weren't a threat to anyone. Most of them, and they gave $50 for non-functioning firearms. Non-functioning firearms. Okay, basically a club,
right?
That looks like a gun,
a paperweight.
Yes, I mean that's.
So they're given $50 for a paperweight.
I'm not sure what kind of crime they think is going to stop.
But according to the Chronicle, this guy did this because he wanted to prove a point about the silliness of wasting $1 million of taxpayer money to buy firearms that aren't firearms at all. They're just non-functioning hunks of plastic or metal. But what do they do with these anyway?
I'm sure they destroy them.
So they destroyed a World War II era .30 carbine rifle?
Probably. The .30 carbine, that was very interesting to me, because why would you take $200 for a very nice, it was in pretty good condition, .30 carbine, when if you look on Gunbroker, the cheapest I could find it was $1,300.
It's
why would you do that?
Stolen, probably.
You think?
Or somebody inherited it from somebody and they had no idea what it was or what it was worth. Or,
Yeah, it's absolute ridiculousness.
But I mean, that department wouldn't keep it though, or, resell it. To just destroy it makes no sense to me. I mean, that's like a piece of artwork. If you can go that far, I think that
definitely
old firearms, especially firearms that were used for a specific purpose, like a Civil War musket, right?
At least historical, if not art.
I mean, can you imagine somebody steals a Civil War musket and shows up to one of these gun buybacks and sells it, right? Of course, the department's going to buy it and then destroy it. That's offensive to me. But it's a World War II era .30 carbine, probably used by some infantry officer in World War II, and they're going to destroy it. That's just
Well, that fact aside, what does it accomplish?
Nothing.
I mean, besides spending money, good money after bad.
Well, how many Glock handguns with those automatic switches did they get? Zero.
Zero.
Yeah.
No, zero of those.
And that's the problem.
Yeah, that's one of the problems. And it's not even the Glock. It's not even the switch. It's the guy that holds the Glock switch that does bad things.
Right. They would have been better off spending that $1 million on overtime for, say, I don't know, hard-hitting TAC team to go out there and start actually looking for people who are slinging dope and illegal weapons in the area of North Shepherd or, you know, in the area of West Tidwell and Parker, you know, that kind of.
Well, I mean, pick a spot.
Yeah.
You know, one of the crime-ridden areas, like, you know.
But we don't do that anymore. We don't hard charge against criminals. Basically, the criminals run the streets now. Officers are told that if you touch them in the wrong way, you'll get an IED complaint. If you use too much force, what is too much force anymore? You know, I understand now that if an officer comes into contact with someone's neck, they have to do a report. Just in contact, your hand brushed against a suspect's neck while you were trying to arrest them after they, you know, committed some felony.
Yeah, it's
Now we're gonna
ridiculous tactic that's to get police officers not to do anything. Do you think it saves any lives? Do you think, for one thing, a life was never taken yet?
Right.
Okay. Derek Chauvin kneeled on the guy's neck, George Floyd, for how many ever minutes he did, and it didn't make any difference. What made the difference was the fatal dose of fentanyl he had in his body. That's what killed him.
Yeah. And
Okay? So we base this on a lie, just like hands up, don't shoot. That never happened.
right.
But we say gun buyback programs because it gets, you know, single shot, rusty shotguns off the street.
I just have I don't think citizens understand just how suffocating the department is by bad policy. How they are suffocating the department to death.
Well, that's more the mayor, I think. I mean, the officers I know that were out there didn't want to be there.
No, I understand that, but that's my point, though, is bad leadership equals bad policy. Bad policy makes bad choices for officers to make on the street. And then, you know, when confronted with a bad decision matrix, the default position is to do nothing, right? So, and then you wind up with politicians doing desperate things to make a point, and that's what you wind up with here with a $1 million gun buyback program for paperweights that just accomplishes nothing, but they think it makes them look good, and it doesn't. It really makes them look foolish.
Yeah, it really does.
Incredibly foolish, and to the point that people take advantage of it. And if they don't understand how embarrassed they should be that somebody sat down with a 3D printer and printed 62 plastic hunks of crap and sold it to them at $50 a piece, and they bought it.
Yeah.
They didn't say no. Just tells you how stupid they are.
Yeah, exactly. And let me explain the difference between a piece of plastic and a ghost gun.
Okay? Oh, please, yes.
A ghost gun is, what do they call it? A gun. Okay. It actually fire a bullet.
Right.
Okay. It is 3D printed for the most part. Still got to have some metal parts like a firing pin.
Yeah.
Okay. If it doesn't have a barrel or it doesn't have a chamber, it's not a gun. It's a piece of plastic. I have training guns, the blue guns that we use to point at each other, that look a lot more like a gun than the ghost guns I see in that picture. They actually, if you painted it black, you could rob somebody with it or get shot by the police with it if you had it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It looks a lot like a gun, but it's not a gun. It's a piece of plastic. Ghost guns, these ghost guns were just printed. They were just 3D printed things that don't work. So you're giving $50 a piece for a non-functioning firearm that is not actually a firearm. And if they'd asked any of the firearm experts that were out there, they would have told them, no, this is not a gun.
So just that one guy got $3,100.
Was it $3,100?
Yeah, okay. $3,100 for 62 ghost guns, hunks of plastic.
Yeah.
At $50 a piece. And so then you wonder how many times did people find some hunk of metal that shaped like a gun in there, you know, in a junk drawer, and say, oh, let's go sell this for $50.
And used to
$100 or something.
I mean, ghost guns were the guns that people would build, like without serial numbers, and they would build these ARs or build these guns that didn't have serial numbers on them. So they became the scary ghost gun, which they're not any more scary or dangerous than the gun that is used in a robbery. I mean, they are, or that is not used, I should say. Just because it doesn't have a serial number and the federal government doesn't know about it doesn't mean it's bad or evil.
Right.
Okay. That's what they called it, ghost guns, because it sounds really scary. Okay. But these aren't even really ghost guns. Okay. They're the 3D printed pieces of plastic. Once again, I hate to keep beating that horse, but they were giving $50 a piece of your money and my money. Okay. They said, well, it came from federal grant. Yeah. Your money and my money, once again. Okay. To people for a piece of plastic.
And it comes down to my conundrum with the department I've always had since I ever started was the department's inability to exercise discretion and say no. You know, like they don't trust their officers enough to say no.
Mm-hmm.
I think, you know, like we're not going to buy, that's not a firearm, we're not going to buy it, go away. Your complaint is not legitimate, we're not going to take it, go away.
Yeah.
You know, I think, you know, for example, there are times when, you know, for example, they convince officers that if you are at a family disturbance or a non-family disturbance and someone is failing to turn over a child, they haven't really properly trained officers on how to put to resolve those issues with child custody, like under 2503 of the Texas Penal Code we've discussed in previous. They just tell the officers, you know, oh, it's a civil matter, and send them on their way. There's just this lack of discretion, a sound judgment and discretion that I think just it becomes pervasive in law enforcement now. And it's really kind of self-destructive because I don't think they realize they're destroying people's confidence in them as an institution. And it may not seem like much at first, but it's the kind of thing that civil war is made out of ultimately. We just haven't experienced it in this country, well, since 1864, so we don't know what it means because it's been 7 generations since, you know, Americans confronted a complete melting of the establishment. And I think what we're seeing now through all of these decisions, like stupid gun buyback programs, through poor training for police officers, through hiring people who probably shouldn't be police officers, who lack the motivation to do the job, who are kind of inherently cowardly and unwilling to take the risk necessary to, you know, fight crime, who can't seem to read the law and understand what the Texas Penal Code means when it says, you know, that you're going to file felony charges against someone for violating a court order. And so, you know, the people who are affected by these decisions on a daily basis are really starting, and you see it on Facebook and you see it on Twitter, and now with the, you know, the advent of all social media, you're seeing this melting of faith in the establishment of law enforcement and the criminal justice system. And so it forces politicians to resort to really dumbass ideas like gun buyback programs. And
that is interesting you say about the loss of faith. I see it quite a bit in the social media out there. People who are normally staunch, back the blue people, conservatives, are lambasting, you know, the police now because of Uvalde.
Yeah.
You know?
And unfortunately, I remember there was a protest one time downtown. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was for, but I think, you know, it was kind of like the beginnings of Antifa had showed up while these, you know, Republican types who were, you know, basically older, you know, white conservative, older black conservative, older Hispanic conservative types who were, you know, I think they were, I think it was actually a Trump rally in like 2016, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
And SRG had showed up, and one of the SRG supervisors was told, oh, you know, it's these people who always start these problems. And it's like you're looking at people in their 60s.
Yeah, it was a group from Kingwood, I think. Some Kingwood Patriots.
Was it the Tea Party or the Patriots? I can't remember.
It was a Tea Party.
Yeah. And of course, whoever complains first is the complainant. Even when it's Antifa, complaining about 60-year-old Republicans who are not known to start fires and spray paint things and break windows. But there's again this lack of judgment, lack of discretion, lack of the ability to apply an officer's surroundings to their immediate environment and make a decision that follows common sense. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, exactly.
And so, and I don't think what a lot of people, even in law enforcement, realize is they are kind of hurting. They are very much hurting themselves with these decisions they make. And the one group that has always backed them up, that has always wanted to make sure that officers had plenty of funding and training and the ability to do their job, were these, older professional conservative types. And that's the people they're attacking. From the FBI to the state, to local, accusing people who, believe in freedom and show up for freedom rallies are domestic white supremacist, white nationalist terrorists.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. I do notice that a lot with, particularly those people who have successfully negotiated 100 question multiple choice test on community policing
to get promoted. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That they usually take the side of the first person who complains to them, whether it's somebody against an officer, officer on officer. Okay. They listen to the first person, and then they've already made up their mind. They come to you as a suspect. And
at that protest, Antifa was complaining about the Republican Party or that localized Republican Party of Kingwood.
Yeah.
And so they were listening to Antifa instead of going, wait, you're with Antifa, just go.
Yeah, it wasn't an Antifa group because there wasn't such a thing then, but it was I was there when it happened, what you're talking about. And I was standing right there, and the person that was pointing to the crowd and complaining about them was literally standing on an American flag because they had an American flag to walk on.
Was that the Occupy group?
Yeah, that era. I don't remember. I can't say exactly what. I don't remember what group it was. But that was one of the things about the Occupy group. And just to clarify that, okay, the Occupy group was made up of a whole bunch of people that had all sorts of different agendas. Okay, so there was no.
I have a sneaking suspicion that if law enforcement went back and scoured the videos and photos of all the Occupy movements that occurred in 2008 and 2009, that would probably be all of your masked Antifa members now.
Oh, well, certainly.
The ones running Antifa.
Certainly.
Or the ones who started the Occupy movements 10 years before.
Certainly.
So it's just a suggestion. Because people don't change their stripes.
Well, they don't care, though. The department doesn't care. The police in general, the command staff doesn't care. So they're not going to go back and look at anything.
Well, that's unfortunate.
It is.
So
prove me wrong, though. Prove me wrong.
So we're going to just wind up with one stupid policy after another, and it's going to take the form of gun buyback programs that waste millions of dollars of taxpayer money on.
So far, millions.
Stupid little paperweights. I should have sold my water gun collection is what I should have done to the city. All right, well, we're going to wrap this one up. Thank you for joining us. Hit that subscribe and like button. We look forward to talking to you every week, and we'll see you in the next video.